This Headless Professor video is about the 13 fatal flaws that students often have when they try to do a survey or an experiment. The first of these is to try to change the questionnaire. Now that questionnaire has been developed by me or approved by me, and you are not to change the format, any wording of the questions, the instructions. You're not even to retype it. Simply print out the camera-ready copy that you have been given. You've also been given an authorized population from which to sample. Now, some students want to increase that sample size by giving out the questionnaire to their roommates, their family members, even people at a bus stop. Only survey people from the authorized population. Your sample should be representative of that population. Third, if you're doing an experiment, you can't let the subjects choose their own groups. You've got to randomly assign subjects to one group or the other. Some students come into my office having already tabulated the data. Well, I'm going to have to give you an Excel file to help you do that tabulation. If all you come in with is no questionnaires and a simple tabulation of how many men, how many women, how many answered each question of your dependent variable, then we cannot run correlation coefficients. Bring your questionnaires in every time. A fifth problem concerns experiments. If you don't note the groupings, we have to know who was in the experimental group, who was in the control group. Make sure that we've got a way of coding that. A sixth problem is something that occurs in repeated measures designs, and that's not noting the matchings. You've got to be able to associate each initial questionnaire with that same subject's subsequent questionnaire. If you're doing a matched pair design like husbands and wives, you got to be able to match each husband with that individual's specific wife. A seventh problem concerns incomplete data. You can't simply give a 0 whenever we have missing data. That's going to completely distort means, standard deviations, and correlation coefficients. An eighth problem is changing the scoring. Now, a certain particular method of scoring will be authorized by your instructor. Usually this depends upon how the question was scored in the national poll or in a standardized test. You cannot change that scoring without the instructor's consent. Certain experiments and surveys require a certain bit of deception, and you cannot disclose the purpose of your research to the subjects. A 10th problem is throwing away the questionnaires. Keep your questionnaires until your instructor tells you they are no longer needed. Bring your questionnaires every time you come to the office. An 11th problem is somewhat related. Some students decide to eliminate certain cases. Perhaps they think they have too many cases or too many of a certain category, so they'll throw away half the men to make it equal to the smaller number of women. Do not remove any cases from your sample until the instructor tells you to do so. Perhaps the biggest problem is simply procrastination, waiting too long for the actual gathering of the data or the tabulation of the data. These are only minor aspects of your complete project. Do them quickly and get help in the office very soon. The last problem concerns when you come into the office, but you're lacking certain essential things. Coming into the office without your initial proposal, that piece of paper that tells me not only your topic, but the population from which you're sampling, your design, how you're gathering your data, and the specific hypotheses that we're trying to test out. Always bring in your raw data. That means the initial questionnaires. And make sure that we have something to put the tabulations on, such as a flash drive. And always have some kind of audio recording device to record what the instructor says. This could be an old-fashioned tape recorder. It could be an app that you have on your cell phone. So if you avoid those 13 problems, your survey or experiment will probably be pretty well done. If you have any more questions, contact me, brink@usa.com.